So hello. It's been a while since I've been on YouTube, and I'm excited to be back because I really am looking forward to sharing and supporting you on a specific topic, anxiety. If you if you struggle with anxiety or deep level of fear or immense amount of doubt, then this channel and this video is for you. I have a passion about this because there's been many times in my life where I struggled and lived in this place of continual doubt, doubting every step I take, fearing what may happen to me, all the way to fearing being homeless, fearing being locked in some sort of state that is not even just not pleasant, but really like even dying, being homeless, dying alone, going to those deep fears. So as well as this anxiousness, there's been many times in my life where I've been struggling with deep senses of deep levels of anxiousness, just having even trouble getting my next breath, having difficulty to even be able to speak a full sentence because the anxiety is so intense. And so if you struggle with these kind of situations where you're crippled by fear, you're always in doubt, you take one step and you run two steps back because you're afraid of what's going to happen to you, you're afraid of being judged, or you're so anxious that you're afraid to leave the house or go to a party or spend time with a group of people because you're afraid of what they may think of you. You're always thinking about what they're thinking about you rather than thinking about how to just be, or not even think, just to be. So I'm here to share and give you support in really being able to live fully wholly in yourself and to be able to thrive in your life without all those fears, doubts, and anxiousness running and ruling your life. Now, I can't guarantee that those thoughts, those things won't come up, but what I can promise you, it is possible to be able to be the master of your thoughts, to be able to be the master of your domain, to be able to really live and thrive from a place of, yes, fear still comes up, but it doesn't run you. It doesn't rule you. Anxiousness, you may feel the feelings. You may feel that stranglehold at times, but it doesn't run you. It doesn't overtake you. And I'm going to give you two simple steps to be able to do that today. But first, I'd love to share a story. One of the stories from my past that was one of those times in my life that was imbibed and full of crippling fear, and anxiousness and doubt and worry and fear and struggling to sleep, etc. So early on in my spiritual path, early on in meeting my spiritual mentor, my primary guru and teacher, Shankaracharya, it was about 6 months in, he decided to sell his ashram in Ojai and get one in Topanga area, which is where I lived. Or I lived in Westwood, but we were going to get a place in Topanga, which is the woods of Los Angeles. Yes, there's actually woods in Los Angeles County. So it's a little mountain just above Malibu, and it's this amazing little setting where there's a lot of conscious people, healthy food, great hikes, just a lot of awesomeness. So what happens is his life partner and his spiritual partner and her daughter, they all move into my one bedroom plus, I had a loft as well, into my one bedroom plus loft in Westwood. And so I gave up all of my private space, all of my personal space. I just split up with my girlfriend of 3 years about 2 or 3 months before. And I had all this space to myself, and then I go from being in a relationship, out of a relationship, into looking for an ashram, a facility with my teacher, and then having no private space, starting a new relationship with a woman who was really turning me upside, or I was being turned upside down by her movements in life and giving love and pulling it away. So there was a lot going on in my life, a lot of questioning, a lot of fear, a lot of doubt in myself, a lot of anxiousness, wanting to settle into myself, but having so many moving parts that I didn't know how to really step forward. Well, I had a great job at the time. It was in biotech sales, and I was selling plasma derivatives for immune deficient patients. And it was a great job, and it gave me a lot of liquidity as far as financial liquidity, but also credit. And so we were with Shankaracharya, the two, I was helping him buy his ashram because what he had in cash wasn't enough to buy the whole facility. So we were using my credit to get the ashram. And we were getting close to, we were about a week out of closing the deal. We had found an amazing place where Muktananda, I had spent time, Amachi had always spent her time there when she'd come to LA. So a lot of saints, a lot of masters, a lot of amazing people would stay on this property. So it seemed like the place we were to really steep in and build this ashram or develop this ashram in Los Angeles. So about a week out, I get laid off from my job. It had been coming, but we were hoping to get this through before that would happen, or the possibility of being laid off was coming. I wasn't sure if I was going to be, but sure enough, I got laid off. And then they do one final check. The bank does one final check the day before the closing, the day before Shank and Anandamai are going to India for 6 weeks, and the loan falls through. And so if you've ever bought a house, you already know the stress that goes in just to get everything together, all the paperwork when everything's going smoothly. And then when you have multiple people involved and so much at stake, the intensity, the stress is overwhelming. So besides not having any personal space, not having my own bedroom, not having any place to really just drop in myself on a regular basis, I was going through a lot. And then right when I thought things were going to turn, the ashram we were going to get the place that we knew was going to be our place. They were going to go to India, and then I was going to have some time to kind of rest in the laurels of peace, of silence, of stillness. And that all of a sudden just got totally shattered. and I had my hands out like this at in the picture of the video, because as I was dropping Shank and his partner off at at LAX at the international Tom Bradley international part of the airport, he just turns around and he says, "Well, the ashram's all in your heads, Jason." And I said, "What do you mean the ashram's all in my hands?" He goes, "We're going to India. We're off grid for 6 weeks. We'll find out if we have a place to live when we get back." And I go, "What do you mean I can't reach you?" And he goes, "No, we don't bring a phone. There's no way to reach us." So I'm starting to really freak out, because all of a sudden all of the burden, maybe not just the burden, but the responsibility of something I value so much, something that my teacher values so much, it's all in my hands, and things are not going well. And so he walks, they grab their little suitcases that they carry on, walk through the door, they disappear, and I'm sitting here still in the circle of LAX going, "Oh my God." So I feel a tension in my belly, I feel a tightness in my chest, I feel a fear just kind of running through my body. And there's a few steps I took shortly after that to support me and just coming down to be able to ground, and I'll share those in a few moments. But then what really hit is what unfolded next and next and next. So the stress just continued. I went from going to have 6 weeks on my own and some peace to on the phone with the broker the next day, and she's like, "Look, the owner of the house of the property already knows that you've lost the loan, so he's demanding $20,000 to be released to him to keep the escrow open. You have the weekend to decide if you want to keep this open, and go for it. You release the 20 grand and there's no way to get it back." And I said, "Is there any chance that we can get a loan? I don't have a job now. I have good credit, but I don't have a job. And we have a certain, 600 grand in the bank to pay for the loan or for part of the property, but that's it. And she goes, yeah, I think we can get a loan. So let me know, and then I'll go for it, and I'll release the 20 grand. So over the weekend, I went back and forth. What do I do? I don't think I should do it. I don't know if I can do it. It's his money, 20,000. He comes back. We don't have the property, and he's short 20,000. I don't want to be responsible for this. Well, Monday comes, and I decide we've got to go for it. We've got to go for this. I got to put all of myself into this. And so we release the 20,000. By the end of the week, I'm stressed, but she says, I'll see what I can find. By the end of the week, our mortgage broker finds a loan. So she calls me and says, look, I've found a loan. It's with IndyMac. There's a few caveats. And I said, of course there's a few caveats. She goes, first caveat, it's a balloon payment in 5 years. So you're going to have gradations moving up with your payments. At the 5th year, if you can't make the balloon payment, you either lose the whole loan. So you've got to be prepared to be selling the property if you don't have the balloon payment. And I said, okay, fine. And she goes, the other part is, I know we have the money in for the loan, and that's what we needed for the other one. They're requiring $660,000 down because of the additional risk of you not having a job at this time. And she said, so if you can pull that together over the weekend, we've got a loan. If you can't, then we're going to have to default and let it go. Oh, and by the way, we've got to release $20,000 more to the buyer to keep the escrow open, or to the seller. So if this is all your own money, it's already a stress. But now if it's somebody else's money you really admire and you want to assure that they're taken care of and the facility that you're trying to support in continuing to flourish is at risk, you're in freak out. So what do you do? How do you move from this place of absolute chaos inside, fear, doubt, anxiousness, and come to some sort of grounding? So I'm going to give you two different steps that I used after I received all these different levels of news. And these steps aren't a guarantee like everything's going to be perfect. You're going to have the perfect life. Does anybody out there have the perfect life? I know we're all striving to have the perfect life, or many of us are, or we're all striving to have things good all the time. But the reality is your life always good? Is everything going perfectly? Everything going perfectly all the time? It's not possible. But we keep trying to make this perfect everything good all the time. I can't promise that will happen, but what this does help with is making you okay through the highs and lows of life. You can be okay. You still might have some stress. You're still going to have some feeling of anxiousness. You may still have some fears and doubts, but you're not going to be lost in them. Okay, so here's the two things that I would do in these situations. First, I would use a breath. So if you know the breath of fire, I'm going to teach a very gentle form of this just because it takes practice and you don't want to go too strong, too hard. So you just pump from the belly lightly out through the nose. So you just go for like 30 seconds. And you're just pumping. Go gentle. If you don't know the depths of this, the power of this, go really soft and gentle. All you need to do is pump. You're just pumping. You're just building energy. And then after about 30 seconds, you exhale everything out. Then it's 3 breaths up. And then again. And so you're sounding it out. The key is the sounding out. So you want to let everything go on that exhale. And what you're letting go of on that exhale is all the stress, all the fear, all the doubt. Let it out. Ha. So you're trying to get into the belly, you're trying to get into the chest, you cross the shoulders. Ha. Okay, so that's the first part. So you want to pump it a little bit, fire it up, bring all of it to the surface, then inhale 3 times into it on one breath. Ha, sigh it out, okay? So that's the breath I would use to just kind of release some of this, some of the tension in the chest, some of the tension in the belly, so it wouldn't just get logged and lodged in there. The second thing I would do is I would personify the fear, the doubt, the anxiety. And I wouldn't, there's different ways of doing this. The one I'm going to give you today is there's a part that I would be feeling inside. I'd be feeling fearful, doubtful, anxious, wanting it all to be taken care of, all to be done, all to be okay, but fearing that none of it would be okay. I'd go, what does that part of me look like inside? So maybe I'm a certain age, maybe I'm a little child, or a certain time in my life that all of that was happening, or just maybe the one who when I look at see that vision, I see this little skinny guy who's terrified, kind of peeking over his blanket, just hoping that he'll be safe and okay. So whatever that vision is of the anxious one, I'll actually see that one out in front of me. And then I'll come present with it. And yeah, I still may be feeling all of these things, but now those feelings or that is personified outside of me. And then I'm sitting with this one, witnessing those feelings, observing those feelings, breathing the breath that I've already opened up with the 3-part breath, which is what I call the Inca breath. The breath of fire and the Inca breath, that's opened it up. And now I'm able to at least just recognize, okay, there's a part in me that's feeling this. It's not all of me. I put it outside and I invite that one to sit on my lap. Come here and sit with me and let's breathe together. Let me embrace you. Let me hold you if you'd like to sit on my lap and be with me. And let's just be here. Nothing to do, nothing to change, nothing to get, nothing to give. We're just going to breathe here with this being who is anxious, fearful, scared, in doubt. They're now sitting on your lap, and you're okay now because you know there's a part of you inside that knows everything is okay. So you're tapped into that. You're tapped into the one who's okay. The one who's in fear is the one sitting on your lap. So now there's the one sitting on your lap is a part of you, but now it's outside of you. And the one who's okay, trusting that everything will be okay, is okay no matter what, is also a part of you. You're embodying that one. You're inviting that forth. Let that one hold the one who's in fear. And breathe. And if the one in fear wants to say something or needs something, then let them speak or give them what they need. And then you move back. If you need more breath, you can do some more. The little one, he or she can still sit on your lap, and then you can pump the breath, do the breath of fire, and then the 3-part breath, the Inca breath some more, to just open it a little bit more, open up the space a little bit more. So these 2 pieces, along with meditation, got me through this whole thing. So just to kind of wrap with what happened. So I released the next 20,000 for the seller, so the seller could keep the escrow open. I reached out to a few people who were part of the ashram and asked if they could put in the 60,000 for the loan. They couldn't, or they wouldn't, one or the other. And it was at the end of the weekend. I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? I've just released 40,000 of my teacher's money. I'm here to support the ashram growing, not diminishing. And I look at my bank account. I have 62,000 in my bank account. So at that moment I knew, or in the back of my head, I knew for maybe the whole time that since I heard that we had to release 60,000 more for the loan, that it was going to be up to me. So I write a check for 60,000, release it. We get the loan. Shank comes back. He comes back and we have the property. And you know, it was a stressful time. It was an intense time. Yes, it all worked out. And the key to whether it works out or not is can we find that place inside ourselves that is okay all the time because it's in there? Can we activate that part and hold space for the one who believes it's all going to go to hell in a handbasket? So this is an opportunity to begin to develop your skills or deepen your skills if wherever you are on your journey, to be able to be in the one who's okay all the time, who's always here, who's always present, who's always just perfect, who's always divinely, perfectly okay. That one can hold the space for whatever part, okay? I hope this helps in some way. I'm sending you lots of love, and I'm holding for you when the fears, the doubts, the anxiousness comes up, or if you're living in that. This is a beginning to be able to unwind that. And I'm going to continue these videos to support you in deepening your ability to unwind that. All right. Lots of love to you. Many blessings. Until soon. Namaste.